all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to Fascination Street.
I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with actress Colleen Foy. Colleen is a young woman who grew up in Milwaukee and always dreamed of being on the silver screen. And then, through a lot of hard work, she made it happen. You want to know something weird? Her very first film role, her feature film debut, if you will, little movie called There Will Be Blood. Can you believe that? That is nuts. We talk about that. We talk about her work with Sesame Street. We talk about her work with the deaf community. We talk about some things she was in, some things she's gonna be in. We talk about cheese. And then we talk about her new upcoming 2022 Netflix feature film, Blonde, which chronicles the life of Marilyn Monroe. It talks about how her life was, how she grew up, some of the things that happened in her life, and some of the things that ran in her family that affected her in her adulthood. Once again, it is called Blonde, and it stars Ana de Armas, Bobby Cannavale, Adrian Brody, and this week's guest. And this is my conversation with Colleen Foy.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Colleen Foy. How you doing today, Colleen?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Great.
First of all, thank you. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy lady.
I appreciate you having me. It's nice to chat with people who find fascination everywhere.
Oh, I love the way you said that. I'm going to steal that and say it every day now, forever.
It's a good way to approach life, don't you think?
Yeah, I do think that. Absolutely. So, Colleen, what I like to do is I like to kind of find out where people came from. It helps us understand how they got to where they are and how they got into what they're into. So, if you don't mind, where were you born and raised? Where are you from?
I was raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My whole life, went to college, even in my hometown. I'm a Milwaukee gal.
So, I know two things about Milwaukee.
Okay.
One is that Milwaukee's best beer is not Milwaukee's best beer.
It is not. It's the nickname, the Beast in Milwaukee. It's the Beast.
Mhm.
Oof. Yeah, brutal.
And the other thing that I know about Milwaukee is that that's where Laverne and Shirley lived.
Absolutely.
And I guess Fonzie too, right? And all of the Happy Days gang.
Yeah. There's a Fonzie statue in Milwaukee. Yeah. You've seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I want to so bad because I've met the real Fonzie and I want to see how the statue compares.
Oh, that's so cool.
He has a reputation in Hollywood, among Hollywood insiders, of being the nicest person in Hollywood. And while I haven't met everybody in Hollywood, I can say that that terrible, terrible reputation certainly stood up when I met him. He was the nicest dude. It was amazing.
That makes me so happy.
He just like came up to me. Like it wasn't like I went up to him. He was just like, "Hi, how are you?" I was like, "Holy shit." Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So that was really cool. Now, enough about me and how cool I am. We're going to talk about how cool you are. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
I always wanted to be a performer. Always.
Like a juggler?
Not a juggler,
Oh,
no.
one of those plate spinners?
That's it. That's the one.
All right, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here on your bio.
Right, juggling, plate spinning. I was always that kid who was like forcing my family to sit down and watch me perform. I remember when years ago the Milwaukee Public Library was having a sale, and so we bought the record of Annie, the motion picture
Soundtrack?
Yeah. And I remember I felt like change. I could do numbers to all of these songs sort of consecutively. And my family already kind of knew the story. I was one of those kids who in hindsight sounds so annoying. So annoying. But I just was doing it all the time.
Yeah, when you first started telling that story, the thought occurred to me, Oh, you didn't get beat enough growing up. That's what happened.
Clearly not enough beatings.
Yes, not enough beatings.
Yep.
What did your parents do?
So my mom is a teacher and my dad works in IT.
Oh, so your dad's it and your mom's a teacher. Rock on.
That's right. That's right.
So what did they think when you decided that you wanted to get into performing as a career?
Well, I'm guessing, although they haven't said this, I'm guessing that they thought it was just a phase, sort of like, okay, we'll wait it out, wait it out, wait it out. And then after my first year at college, I was studying acting, studying theater arts. I did a 2-week program here in Los Angeles. We stayed at UCLA and we met with casting directors and took workshops and meetings. They encouraged that because they wanted to see if I got a taste for the actual business, what my reaction would be. Perhaps I would say, oh, no. Oh, no, this is not for me, and sort of choose another career path. Or if I was like, actually, things are kind of moving and grooving in response to me out in Los Angeles, maybe I can sort of actually do this thing. So they're super supportive people. And I think any concerns they had were just for like my well-being and my safety and having health insurance and things like that. So
Milwaukee really is happy days.
it really is. Oh my gosh, I had such a rude awakening when I left Milwaukee.
Oh, I bet you did.
One, the people. I really thought that that's sort of how people were all over the world. And two, nowhere other than Milwaukee, Wisconsin puts cheese on everything. So I would go to a restaurant. I was touring with a theater company after college. Every restaurant, I was like, oh, they forgot the cheese. Dang it. Oh, they forgot the cheese. They forgot the cheese. I realized not everywhere smothers things in cheese. So that's a whole chapter in my memoir, about not finding cheese everywhere.
There's a business managerial book called Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh,
It's very famous, and so you can just write one that says, they forgot my cheese.
they forgot my cheese, and other lessons.
You should have done like a web series of just a bunch of shorts based on that Where's the Beef lady, but it's Where's the Cheese?
That cuts really close to home. That'd be a very vulnerable project for me.
Nice. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense that Wisconsinistas put cheese on everything because they are the show me your cheese state, right?
The show me your cheese state. Absolutely.
All right, cool. I'm just making sure. So when you were doing this touring, this theater company, is that when you were throwing gang signs?
That's when I was throwing gang signs and people understood those gang signs.
Okay, so tell me about that. So you explained it for me, for the listeners. You met somebody at university who was a deaf person and that person wrote a play, right? And
Yeah.
you take it from there.
Well, you're kind of nailing it on the head.
All right, great. Just sit back, kids. I got this.
Day one of acting class, acting one at college, there was a gentleman sitting alone by himself, except he had interpreters with him. So I very quickly realized he's deaf, and he was sitting alone. He was completely isolated. So I approached him, and I just knew the alphabet from a Girl Scout class years ago. Girl Scouts save the day. That's another chapter in my memoir. So I finger spelled to him, my name's Colleen. I'm sorry, I don't know sign language.
So did you have, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you a lot. Did you have one of those things like, like when somebody has a name, they also have like a sign that's them or something, like, my hair or, whatever. What was your sign? What was your thing?
I didn't have one then. It's actually a name sign has to be given from someone in the deaf community. So my name sign is C, the first letter of my name, and it's down because I'm short. It's not very creative.
How tall are you?
Oh, I'm 5'1".
That's short.
Yeah, in my family, I'm average, baby. Around my mom and my sisters, I'm good. I'm average. And then I get in the real world and there's no cheese and I'm short.
There's no cheese among these giants.
There's no cheese in the giant land. Yes. So his senior thesis, he wrote a play to be performed all in sign language because oftentimes when deaf audience members are watching a play, they're moving from the action on stage to an interpreter who's sort of off stage, and they're missing something because they're going back and forth. So he wrote it to be performed all in sign language, and they would have actors off stage voicing it so that a deaf and hearing audience can watch it and experience it in the same way. So I learned sign language for that play, and we competed for a year. It we were in the American College Theater Festival and we're competing at the local and then at the regional. And we ended up winning and going to the Kennedy Center in DC. So for that whole year, I was learning more sign language and more sign language to the point where my first job after college could be with the National Theater of the Deaf, which is the premier theater of the deaf.
It could be, but what was it really?
What was it really?
Yeah, you said your first job out it could have been.
No, it was.
Oh, okay. All right, rock on.
An unfortunate misdirect that I didn't intend.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I felt proficient enough in sign language to audition and booked the job and toured for a year with that theater company.
So this play was entirely put on by a deaf cast except for you, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then was it just super quiet in the theater, or what about the people who can't read sign language?
So I voiced every character.
You did.
Yeah, I did. So it was a gorgeous adaptation of Alice in Wonderland where Alice falls down the rabbit hole and boom, she starts to talk with her hands. So as Alice, I would sort of narrate what the other characters were saying. So when the white rabbit would come along, I would say, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. What are you late for? So I would be sort of voicing his character as well as reacting as Alice. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
So you were Alice and you had to do all that?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's exactly what your parents were hoping would have been your first foray. So you would be like, man, this is not what I thought was going to happen. This is hard.
Yeah, totally. But it didn't deter me. I was like, cool, this is a lot of hard work. And it really sucks sometimes, but let's go. So.
Okay, so I have a question for you. A lot of people, most people, as a matter of fact, all of the people, when they get done with school and major in performing arts or whatever, they have a decision to make.
Yeah.
And that decision is to turn left or turn right, go to New York or go to California.
Yeah.
What made you decide California? How come? Why California?
A lot of people were telling me unsolicited that that they thought New York would just eat me up. They kept using that word, like you're going to get eaten up alive. They're going to eat you up. And I didn't like the way that sounded. So it wasn't that easy, but I was getting a lot of feedback that New York was not the right fit. And I had always pictured Hollywood rather than Broadway when I was a kid, when I was, 7 years old. I wasn't thinking about Broadway, I was thinking about Hollywood. So in my mind, it had always sort of felt like the natural fit for me.
Gotcha. It reminds me of, I don't know if they did this in Wisconsin, probably not because they're cheesy nice over there. But when I was growing up, when you were in middle school, when you're an eighth grader about to go into high school next year, all everybody tells you is that the seniors stuff the freshmen in lockers.
Oh.
And so, you're just terrified. You're like, well, then that doesn't sound like something I want to be. I don't need to go to high school. I mean, that's cool. Like they're going to eat me alive there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, there's no magical New York tour that I could go on that would ever make me want to move there and be eaten alive.
Sure.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that LA took the lead for me in my mind.
So was part of that decision between New York and LA, did you do some diligent research and find out who had the most cheese?
I didn't. And that idea never crossed my mind. I wish I had known that should be a thing to consider. But LA fancies itself.
Oh, it does fancy itself. Oh, I'm sorry.
They think of themselves as huge dairy producers, and they do produce a lot of dairy. But our state quarter, the Wisconsin state quarter, has a cow and a hunk of cheese on it. So.
Well, if I was from California, which I'm not, I would respond with, we're California. We don't even use quarters.
That's so true. And that's a very California.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. You're on a quarter? What's a quarter? Like that?
Yeah.
So when you got to California, when you loaded up the truck and you moved to Beverly.
That's right.
What was your reception? And also, what was your perception? Like, were you terrified? Maybe a little bit less than you would have been when you went to New York? Were you scared when you got there?
I was, I think, overwhelmed for sure by some pretty basic things, just like the sheer amount of cars on the street, the sheer amount of like lanes on the highway. I got a temp job in Santa Monica and I was living in Hollywood, and it was 11 miles away and it took me an hour and 15 minutes. And I struggled to wrap my head around why we were all doing this.
Yeah.
So, but I just sort of tried to put one foot in front of the other. I got an apartment, found a temp job, and then I sent out headshots and resumes to 80 commercial agents. It's easier to get a commercial agent in LA versus what they call theatrical agent, which is TV and movies, because commercials can be a lot about a look or a unique skill, whereas you kind of have to prove your chops for TV and film. So I sent 80 headshots and resumes out. I got 2 responses. I had 1 meeting and I signed with them immediately. And I booked my first national commercial.
What was the commercial for?
It was a commercial for US Singular. It was a fantastic commercial spot. It was a Christmas themed one. I was the ghost of Christmas Past. So Scrooge gets visited by, 3 ghosts, and they want to go on a friends and family plan. So it was really special. It's directed by Alex Proyas and fantastic. But my very first commercial audition, I booked and got eligibility. And yeah, it was kind of crazy how that worked.
That sounds fortuitous. Also, it's a little fortuitous that you told that story because the episode of my show that is currently out, the one that just came out this week.
Rick Ferrari.
Rick Ferrari, commercial talent agent.
I just listened to it. It was fantastic.
Oh, you did listen to it.
Oh, I did listen to it. I had some thoughts of like, oh, that's what you were doing at age 13, Studio 54. Oh, wow. Wow. I was very different sort of growing up, but yeah, he was fantastic.
It does sound like New York would have ate you alive.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
That episode is getting I'm getting a lot of good feedback. I'm getting a lot of surprise and maybe some concerned feedback, mainly because he was a 13-year-old hanging out at Studio 54.
Right.
But yeah, the response has been overwhelming and overwhelmingly good. So that makes me happy. And he's a super nice dude.
Oh, that's awesome. The Dolly stories alone had me, on cloud 9. I was like, oh. So with her and Henry Winkler being kind, amazing people, it makes me feel like there's a place for good people in the world.
Yeah, and I don't know why this hasn't helped me at all to get Dolly as a guest, but her mother's maiden name is my last name.
No, really?
Yes. I don't know why that hasn't helped me more. But enough about me and Dolly just hanging out with Mr. Ferrari.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Erica.
And I'm Cassandra.
And we're the hosts of Trashy Trashy.
We're a podcast filled with trashy news stories and garbage people.
Did you leave the scene of an accident to go tanning?
Do you refer to wearing the strap down on your Crocs as sports mode?
Have you ordered Domino's online before they even open in the morning?
Are you switching the same AAA batteries from your TV remote to your vibrator instead of just buying more batteries?
Or are you normal?
Check us out wherever you download podcasts.
Let's get back into it.
So you sent out 80 headshots and resumes to commercial agents and you only got 1 meeting? Is that what you said?
I got 2 responses in 1 meeting. Yeah, that's it.
How did that make you feel? Were you just like, oh no, this is going to be terrible?
Well, I had done a ton of research before moving to LA. I had read books and autobiographies. I had really kind of interviewed everyone I knew who had moved out to Los Angeles, people who were at university sort of older than me who had moved out. And I had heard a lot of disheartening stories. And so I was ready. I was so ready for it. And I really, truly, it's the truth. But the idea is you only need one person to say yes. I guess I only needed 1 meeting and I only needed that first audition to get SAG eligible. So I was like, great, I've got my 1 person. Let's go. It was a great start. In hindsight, like those are not great numbers, but for the industry that I'm in, the numbers are harsh, really harsh. But if you accept it, then it becomes not something you're fighting against, but something you're going, cool. Okay, great. That's what we expect. I don't follow baseball. Do you? Are you a big baseball guy, Steve?
I'm only a big baseball guy in the fact that I can't stand it. And I don't just not like it. I actively hate baseball.
Oh, that's the kind of baseball guy you are. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. That's how I spend my pastimes is I go around to sports bars and I just change the channel to anything else. That's what I do. It's my hobby.
Give them a little thumbs down and exit.
Yeah.
Well, I know in baseball, if you look at the stats, if you're hitting one out of fill in the blank pitches,
Orange.
yes, orange, one out of every orange amount, you're doing really great. And those statistics are sort of as harrowing as sending out 80 headshots and resumes and getting 2 responses. So this is for all the baseball lovers in the audience.
Yes, both of you.
Both of you. So yeah, I knew what the statistics might be, and turned out they were pretty accurate.
So I think it's really cool that you got your one cheerleader. They sent you on an audition, you booked it, and that was awesome because it got you your SAG, but I'm really confused as to why immediately they fired you.
Well, it's a scandal I don't like to talk about. Kidding. Kidding. Although I could probably make something up. No, we had a good relationship after that. Yeah, we continued.
So was that the beginning of a beautiful commercial career for you? Did you book a whole lot of commercials and make all the money?
I actually did book a good amount of commercials, to the point where I would have like 2 nationals running at the same time. And people would say to me, I was watching this, and then your Arbor Mist commercial came on, and then your IHOP commercial came on. It was great. Those commercial checks are fantastic.
Arbor Mist is a wine cooler or something, right?
Yeah. It's like a really fruity, sweet wine.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just those 3 you mentioned are some pretty big names. Like, you're not talking about, I did a commercial for Santa Monica's Discount Larry used telephone store.
Yes.
So that's really cool. You got some big names and hopefully, some decent checks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were like, you know what? You can't hide my light under a bushel. I'm too talented to sell pretend wine to old ladies who don't want to drink wine.
Yeah.
So then you decided, you know what? I'm going to go get an agent for other things. Is that how that works?
Yes, although that was very hard. It was.
What?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
You're right. It took me over 2 years to get a TV and film agent. And what's crazy is that in the meantime, when I didn't have a TV or film agent, I booked There Will Be Blood.
So how did you do that? You just showed up at the audition? Like, how'd that work?
So I'm living in LA and proficient in sign language, just as sort of a reminder. Yeah. And a friend of mine called me and said, they're making a movie and they need a hearing girl who knows sign language, and they want her to be blonde, but not Hollywood blonde. And I thought, oh, okay, yes.
We need to be 1837 blonde.
Right. So I literally, again, sent in my headshot and resume to the address that they requested. Now, the address was 5555 Melrose Avenue. And I was like, do you know what that is? You're rolling your eyes.
No, I don't know what that is, but TV and film has this obsession with 555s. Like, they make that the phone number for everything.
Totally.
It's ridiculous. But please, what is 5555 Melrose? Was that Melrose Place? What is it?
That's Paramount Studio.
Well, that's cool.
Yes. So I took my little manila folder to the post office and sent it off to Paramount Studios without knowing it. And a couple of months later, I got a call from the casting director. So what I'm assuming is that between the time I heard about it and they called me in, those months, they were seeing every established actor who had an agent or a manager who knew sign language or could know sign language, and they couldn't find the girl. So she called me in, and I was doing a student film, and I drove right after that to Paramount Studios and auditioned for it. And I think really clearly she knew, oh, no, she actually knows sign language. She can actually do this. She's not pretending. I may not have had an agent or a manager or a name or a ton of credits, but I had the skill. So a few months later, I was in Marfa, Texas, shooting There Will Be Blood with Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm so mad right now, I can barely contain myself.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I live in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
My wife and I go to Marfa, Texas about every 6 or 7 weeks.
Oh, cool.
As soon as we got a little bit of more of the all clear to travel and do things, I mean, we've been 4 times in the last 6 months.
Oh.
In Marfa, Texas, have you ever been there? Just kidding. In Marfa, Texas, they have a few art installations just outside of Marfa. One is a Prada installation. Are you familiar with this?
Yes. Marfa Prada, or Prada Marfa. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Also, a fairly recent addition is in the middle of this giant ranch next to the highway. So in 1955, they filmed a movie. It was just called Giant.
Yeah.
And it starred
James Dean, Elizabeth Taylor.
You're all over this.
Yeah.
So they built a little art installation to honor that film. And it's in the middle of this ranch, like I said, and it's a big, giant wooden cutout, kind of billboard style of James Dean. There's one of Elizabeth Taylor. There's one of, what's his name? Was it Robert Mitchum? Whoever was driving the car. I don't remember who it was, and I'm sure I'm going to catch a lot of shit for that. Anyway, big art installation for a 1956 movie. Now, what I'm confused about is that as many times as I've been there, I was wholly unaware that any part of There Will Be Blood was filmed there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
You know what's interesting beyond this is No Country for Old Men was shooting in Marfa at the very same time.
Okay, this is even funnier. I have always gotten those two movies confused, and I didn't know why, but maybe it's because they're both shot in Marfa.
Yeah. Well, they were made in the same year. No Country ended up winning Best Picture.
Now, No Country, that's the one where the guy carries around that horse thing?
Terrifying. Anton Chigurh with that cow prod. Yeah.
Check you out.
Terrifying movie. Yeah, they were both shot in Marfa at the same time. So there you go. Your vacation spot is actually a cinematic gem.
That is insane.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that is insane is that those two films are huge films. So they were not indie films. They were big, giant blockbuster films with a whole lot of money, and I would imagine thousands of people working on that film. Marfa's not equipped to handle thousands of people.
Right.
So I can't imagine the clusterpuff that must have been. But how did you like it? Like right out of the bat, you worked with one of the greatest actors of all time.
I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. Kind of unbelievable, but it was great. They had built a sort of small town. Once we get to like hair and makeup on set, then you have to drive. They drive you like 10 minutes to this area where they built a little bit of a small town that was being dropped into this period where everything was created for us. And really then as an actor, I feel like you just have to show up and connect to the person you're having a scene with, and the rest takes care of itself. Everything was of the period. It was incredible.
I want to know, where was this shot? Where in Marfa? Was it on somebody's private property, like somebody's big ranch? Like, you have no idea.
I have no idea. I got the job, but I was a little not in over my head, but it was my first experience ever on a film set. I had no agent telling me what to do. I'm guessing there's a lot of things that I didn't quite pick up on.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, after that smash hit success,
Yeah.
you got catapulted into all the things.
Yeah.
I'm just going to name one thing that you've been in, okay? I'm only going to name one.
Uh-oh, here we go.
You have been in everything from Lone Star to Bones to Castle,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The Client List, Bold and the Beautiful. I mean, you've done so much stuff. Tacoma FD, nobody's ever heard of that, so we're just going to not mention it.
No. Have you not heard of it?
No, because I don't live in Tacoma. That sounds like a public access fire department show.
Oh, Steve, it's so good. It's so good. It's the guys who did,
Reno 911.
no, not Super Troopers, but it's Steve Lemmy and, hang on, will you vamp as I look something up? Is that horrible?
That's terrible.
We'll just edit this out.
The Lizard Guys?
Yes, the Broken Lizard guys.
I'm broken.
It's all of those guys, and it's a very funny show. I hope now that I'm saying this, you'll watch it and actually like it, and then not sort of have me back with a bone to pick. But it's really funny. I think, well, I don't know. We're still getting to know each other, Steve, but you might like it.
I can't wait to have you back, and the only thing I'm going to do is yell at you because Tacoma FD sucks. I'm sure it's amazing. So I'll have to check that out. I was wholly unaware that it even existed. So I was just making up that I didn't like it. But I did like Castle, and I know that Nathan Fillion likes to have the people who were on Castle, he likes to have them on The Rookie. So when are you on The Rookie?
Oh, hopefully soon.
Next week? You want me to call him?
Please, if you wouldn't mind, because he's not returning my text.
You know, hang on. Hold on. He's joining the meeting. Hang on one second.
Hello, Nathan. It's nice when people who are sort of in power or can have a say want to invite back people that they've already worked with. That'd be awesome.
Well, I'll talk to my producers and see what we can do.
Please do.
Oh, I don't have producers. That's right. It's just me.
Just you.
You know what? I'll call the Fonz and ask him to put a call into Nathan Fillion. So
Please do.
I got your back.
Great.
That's all cool. And you did neat things. You were on Station 19, which,
Yeah.
what's it like to work on a Shonda Rhimes joint?
Incredible. It had actually been a long time goal of mine to be on a Shonda Rhimes show. In fact, I had this chalkboard with some goals written down. It had been on there so long without me booking anything that now that I have booked it, I've erased it and it still stays there. The chalk sort of won't go away on the chalkboard. I had auditioned for that office, I think 15 times before I booked. And then they booked me for a 1-episode role and it turned into 15 episodes.
You were on 15 episodes of a Shonda Rhimes show?
Yeah.
And how many times did you audition for that office?
15.
Works out.
Boom.
That math works perfectly. That is how it should be. You got paid for every time you auditioned, because I've heard that an actor's job is to audition.
Yes. Oh, I believe that too. Yeah, we have to approach that as if that is the actual thing.
Well, that's super rad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did get to meet her. How was she?
I didn't get to meet her.
Moving on.
Yeah, next question, please. She, by that point, had taken this amazing deal at Netflix and was creating
Yeah.
Bridgerton and this upcoming sort of Ana Delvey project. So, yeah, she's a busy woman. My dear beloved friend Shonda, very busy.
Yeah, she's too busy. She's busy hanging out with my dear beloved friend Dolly Parton.
That's right.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
It is 2140. You are trapped in an underground bunker, built a century ago to protect mankind from the pandemic on the surface. Now ruled by tyrants and their robot army. You are an outcast, an orphan, a scavenger, blind, afraid, and alone. You are Ace, a survivor, and you will try to escape this place known as Subterra. Subscribe to Subterra at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts.
Let's get back into it.
Let's talk about something really cool that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that when you auditioned for your role in There Will Be Blood, they were looking for somebody who was blonde, but not Hollywood blonde.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else, some other thing that is blonde. There's the thing. It's already in the can, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, that's what we say when we mean it has already been filmed.
This is very Hollywood, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm so Hollywood. I should put on shades right now just to be in the same room with myself. So tell me about this 2022 feature Netflix film called Blonde.
I think it's going to be a huge film. So it's starring Ana de Armas, who is currently in the new Bond movie. And from what I hear from multiple people, she steals the movie.
I have heard that as well. What's really funny is that she was in Knives Out,
Yes.
and presumably she's going to be in, I don't know, the next 2 Knives Outs, maybe. I'm not sure. Also with Daniel Craig. But previous to Knives Out, I think she was most known as that super hot chick that Ben Affleck is dating.
Yes.
And so she brought that fame and publicity buzz with her to Knives Out. And then I guess she hid in Daniel Craig's trench coat and then popped out on the set of the Bond film.
There you go.
So back to you and this film. She's the only other person in it besides you. Oh, no, wait.
Yes, it's just us. Yep. She wanted it that way. Yeah.
One of the most amazing actors on the planet, Bobby Cannavale, is in this as well, who folks might have just seen him in that 7 Perfect Strangers TV series on Hulu.
Yeah.
That dude is amazing. But then also there's, I don't know, some Academy Award winner guy. I don't know what his name is. Something. Oh, yeah, Adrian Brody. So you're leading this all-star cast.
Right. Obviously.
Tell me what the film is about and what was your experience on set?
Well, it's about Marilyn Monroe, and that's who Anna plays. Bobby Cannavale plays Joe DiMaggio, and Adrian Brody plays Arthur Miller.
Oh, my. Okay, so folks listening, Arthur Miller was her first husband and Joe DiMaggio was her second. I am positive that Bobby Cannavale grew up wanting to be Joe DiMaggio, and now he gets to do it. That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That is really, really cool. I wonder who plays Frank Sinatra. Is he not in it?
No, I don't think so. Lots of other like Hollywood types though. This like Hollywood agent and Marilyn's like foster mother is in the film as well. So it really sort of shows, I think, like sort of the ugly side of what had happened to her while she was growing up, and the mental illness that had sort of followed her all her life and had been a part of her mother's life as well. So I think it's going to be a huge movie. I think it's going to be huge. It's a very risque, risk-taking script, and I think it will be highly R-rated. Although I read reports recently, they said that they're trying to get it an NC-17 rating. I don't know how that'll work on Netflix, truly, but it's bold.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I don't think I've ever seen the rating, the parental advisory rating on anything Netflix ever. I don't think I've ever seen a rating.
Coming to think of it, I don't think I have either. I've been spending this whole time thinking, how are they going to do that? NC-17, but there's never any ratings, is there?
Like, they do whatever they want.
They do whatever they want, and they just start it again. They're starting the next thing, and you're like, I didn't want this. Okay, I want this. Here goes 2 hours of my life.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So in this film, you play, let me guess, a nurse in a psychiatric facility.
Oh my gosh. That's it.
Do you want to know how I knew that?
How?
You know how we've been having things in common this whole time?
Absolutely.
My wife is a psychiatric nurse.
No.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She is a master's prepared psychiatric nurse, and until 2.5 years ago, she traveled the country opening psychiatric hospitals. And then before that, she was a psych nurse, like, you know, on units, whatever, blah, blah, blah. My wife is a psychiatric nurse. Yes.
Wow.
So you guys should go bowling together.
Absolutely. We'll meet up in Marfa.
Meet up in Marfa. We'll bring the cheese.
Sounds good. Bring a lot of it.
Clearly.
Well, that's really, really cool.
So I can't wait to watch that and have her just pick your performance apart.
Eviscerate me.
Psych nurses don't do that.
Please. I need it. I need some fearless feedback from your wife.
Yeah, my wife will give you notes on a project that's long completed.
That's great.
Always helpful.
I have thicker skin now. It'll be fine.
Oh, cool. From all that cheese. Oh, you've got that weird cheese skin. That film that grows on top of cheese. You're a super weirdo. So this movie is scheduled to come out in 2022. Do you have any idea? Early, mid, late 2022?
I have no idea. We filmed it way before the pandemic.
Really?
Even before she did the Bond movie. Yeah, absolutely.
So you filmed this before 2020?
Yeah, we filmed it in late summer of 2019.
So what you been doing since then?
Booking work, trying to stay positive. I'm actually starting a film tomorrow, another indie film.
Is it in Marfa? We'll meet you there.
It's not in Marfa.
Are you sure? Because apparently they film everything in Marfa now.
Now they do. Now they film everything. So yeah, just staying busy. I really thought the film would have come out by now, but the pandemic threw everything into a little bit of disarray.
Was it always going to be Netflix?
Yes, always Netflix. Brad Pitt's producing company, Plan B, was in partnership with Netflix for this project. And Andrew Dominic, who wrote it and directed it, it was always meant to be Netflix. Thankfully, it's not like something that was supposed to have a theatrical release. And it's like, we'll just put it on Netflix and hope nobody notices.
Unless you're Tom Cruise, in which case you go, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to wait.
We are not doing that.
He's got 2 of the biggest movies ever, and he's just like, we're going to wait.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got Top Gun 2, and then he's got Mission Impossible 37, and he's just like, nah, we're going to wait. That's going to be in theaters, and we're going to get all the money.
Dang.
We're not streaming it, so he's just waiting.
Tom Cruise lives under different rules than the rest of us, I think.
Yeah. I'm guessing.
Always, yeah.
I'm going to go with, yeah, probably.
I'm going to go with yes as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So where are you going to film this movie that you're filming tomorrow?
It's going to be here in LA.
What? They don't make things in LA. What are
They
you talking
actually
about?
do.
Is it animated? This is a voiceover role?
No,
They don't shoot anything in LA. What are you talking about?
they do. So we're shooting in LA, and we're going to be shooting at a courthouse in Riverside, which is about an hour outside of LA. So
it's 9 miles outside of LA?
yeah, it's 9 miles. It'll take about an hour to get there. And you're going to show up and go, not too bad traffic.
So it's a film?
It's a film, yeah. It's a feature, beautiful independent feature. No Netflix attached to it, no Brad Pitt attached to it.
You want me to call Brad?
If you could.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oof, boy. I'd like to be producing content as well as starring in it. I'd like to bring stories that haven't yet been told to fruition, make them something people can watch in their homes or in theaters. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great stories. And I'd like to work more often. As much as I'm grateful for how much I've worked, I want to be working more often. And I want to be working with fantastic people, the top in their field and kind as well. And there will be cheese on every craft services table. And I'd like my life to support that, my work to support my life. And yeah.
Wow. Dreamer.
That's right, man.
You're a dreamer. You said everything but the streets will be paved with gold. Oh, you did mention cheese, so it's liquid gold.
There you go. Boom. Now you get me.
We got there. It took a while. We got there. What was it like to work on Sesame Street?
Oh my gosh. It was like pinch me moments all day. We were rehearsing with Big Bird.
How big is Big Bird?
Big Bird is very tall.
It's like 7 feet tall or something, right?
So tall, yes. But Carol Spinney was rehearsing with us. So he was in the Big Bird legs. And then there's suspenders, I guess, that keep those legs up. And then he had the top half of Big Bird off. So he was running it with his Big Bird voice, but he was right there in the Big Bird legs. It was so surreal. But what makes it more surreal is I did that with the National Theater of the Deaf. It was me and the company. And I was the only hearing person in the company, right? So I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is crazy, his voice. And the people around me were like, what? What do you mean his voice?
Everybody else is like, why is this nerd wearing these weird feet?
They didn't quite get that it was his voice that I had heard for years. It was so surreal. It was the best, the absolute best. Oh my gosh, what a job.
Now, how many of the children on Sesame Street were bigger than you?
Wow.
Also, can you tell me how to get?
To Sesame Street? Well, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
Wow, so it's a pretty violent, seedy place.
Absolutely. It's the dark side that no one ever wants to talk about when they talk about Sesame Street.
That makes sense. Colleen, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. It's Colleen Foy, which is not very creative, but it's truth in advertising. Colleen, Colleen. Last name is Foy, Foy. That's me. That's where you'll find me.
Super creative. I love it.
Yes.
No TikTok?
No TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Oh, kind of. I mean, I have an account. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's insane. I don't know what to do there. I'm old. So.
Yay.
What?
Nothing. I've seen some TikTok videos and I'm always like, the creativity, the editing, it's so wonderful.
The production.
Yes, the idea of making one sounds exhausting. So
It does, right? It sounds terribly exhausting. It doesn't sound fun for a fella at all.
not at all. So not on TikTok.
Well, good for you. That makes you more of an adult.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I do have another question for you. Is there anything that we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about today? Like, did I miss anything?
Well, there's a project that I created with some friends called Green Cobra. It's a fantastic short film that we're hoping to make into a feature film. We had plans to, and the pandemic, of course, sort of sent things in the other direction. But if you go to, I think, Green Cobra Film, you can see more images there and you can actually see the film. I play a hit man, a hit woman, or as my character calls it, a life-ending technician. So I've been sort of screwed by this system and I can't get a job. So I decide to kill people for money. It's a really, really fantastic, fun, dark mockumentary. We have a blast. I'm really excited about that project. So we've won a lot of awards for it. And the people I've collaborated with were just fantastic. So you get to see what I think are some really fantastic director, the cinematographer and the writer. You get to see some of their work as well. So that's Green Cobra Film.
That's amazing. And what does your character say they do again?
They're a life-ending technician.
I love that.
Yeah.
So your character is a life-ending technician that helps other people assume room temperature.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I am
Nice.
Green Cobra. Yeah.
Nice. That's super cool. By the way, that was a rhetorical question. You were supposed to say, no, we covered everything. You were great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm totally kidding. I'm just kidding.
Take it back from the top. Let me get it better this time.
And action.
No, you've covered everything. A wonderful interview. I thank you for your time. I did it.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's so funny. Colleen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic COVID-filled schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve. I had a blast chatting with you.
I had a blast as well, and you have a great rest of your week.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2001 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jax Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.